On a foggy evening, Sarah arrives at Willowcrest, a lonely, decrepit boarding house nestled in the countryside. She seeks solitude to finish her artwork, but the house feels anything but welcoming. Mrs. Whitmore, the elderly caretaker, greets her with a strange glint in her eye and hands her the key to room 6. The room is cozy, but something feels off. A door within the room, nailed shut with iron spikes, immediately draws Sarah's attention. The wood bears deep claw marks, as if something once tried to escape. When Sarah asks about it, Mrs. Whitmore dismisses her concerns, urging her not to think about the door. That night, Sarah hears faint tapping from the nailed door. She brushes it off as her imagination, but unease settles over her. The next day, Sarah tries to distract herself by exploring the house. She discovers faded photographs of previous boarders, yet room 6 is conspicuously absent. That evening, the tapping returns, louder and more insistent. Gathering her courage, Sarah approaches the door and presses her ear against it. A faint, chilling whisper emerges. "Help me." Startled, she stumbles back. When she confronts Mrs. Whitmore the next day, the caretaker grows defensive, warning Sarah to leave the door alone. But Sarah's curiosity is piqued, and she decides to uncover the truth. Armed with a hammer, Sarah pries open the nails sealing the door. Behind it lies a small, dark room with a dusty rocking chair and an old diary. The air is cold and heavy. As Sarah flips through the diary, the haunting words of Evelyn, a former tenant, leap off the pages. The room is alive, it watches, it waits. If anyone finds this, run. The rocking chair begins to sway on its own, and Sarah slams the door shut, horrified. That night, the terror escalates. The once cozy room grows cold, her artwork morphs into grotesque, shadowy figures, and the whispers return, louder and more menacing. Shadows crawl across the walls, forming ghostly shapes that call her name. Suddenly, the nailed door bursts open, and a pale, skeletal woman emerges, her hollow eyes fixed on Sarah. "You shouldn't have opened the door," the figure hisses. The shadows close in, and Sarah feels trapped in a nightmare. Summoning her courage, she shouts, "I'm not afraid of you." The shadows falter, and Sarah grabs a shard of glass from the floor, smashing it into the door. The skeletal woman lets out a blood-curdling scream as she and the shadows are pulled back into the room. The door slams shut, resealing itself with iron nails. The next morning, Sarah hastily leaves Willowcrest, vowing never to return. As she drives away, she glances in her rearview mirror and freezes. A shadowy figure stands at the attic window, watching her. Back in room 6, fresh claw marks appear on the door, spelling out chilling words. It's not over. The screen fades to black, and faint tapping echoes in the silence, growing louder and more ominous.